Hi, welcome to the quiz. You can answer along on quizalto.com, all for free. The exact URL of this quiz will be in the notes down below. Let's get started, good luck. How can you roll back a stack creation in AWS CloudFormation? By manually reverting each resource. By rolling back to the last known good state. By deleting the stack. By canceling the stack creation. To roll back a stack creation in AWS CloudFormation, you can roll back to the last known good state before the failed operation occurred. What is the main purpose of AWS CloudFormation? To provide serverless architecture. To automate billing processes. To monitor resource usage. To provision and manage resources through templates. The main purpose of AWS CloudFormation is to provision and manage resources in an automated and controlled manner through templates. What is the function of intrinsic functions in AWS CloudFormation templates? To restrict resource types used. To enforce IAM policies. To limit the number of outputs in templates. To assign values dynamically at runtime. Intrinsic functions in AWS CloudFormation templates allow users to assign dynamic values at runtime, allowing for more flexibility and customization in resource configurations. What is a change set in AWS CloudFormation? A new type of encryption algorithm. A group of virtual servers. A preview of the changes to be applied to a stack. A method of load balancing. In AWS CloudFormation, a change set is a way to preview how proposed changes to a stack might impact the running resources before creating or updating those resources. What is a stack in AWS CloudFormation? An automated backup mechanism. A virtual environment for testing. A notification channel for resource events. A collection of related resources. In AWS CloudFormation, a stack is a collection of AWS resources that you can manage as a single unit. All the resources in a stack are defined by the template used to create the stack. What is the purpose of AWS CloudFormation? To create virtual networks. To manually provision resources in the cloud. To monitor resource usage in real time. To automate the deployment of infrastructure as code. AWS CloudFormation is used to automate the deployment of infrastructure as code, allowing for consistent and repeatable resource creation. What is the purpose of a CloudFormation template? To describe resources and their dependencies in AWS CloudFormation. To create standalone AWS resources. To schedule automated backups of resources. To provision resources directly in the AWS Management Console. A CloudFormation template is used to describe the resources and their dependencies that you want to provision in AWS CloudFormation. What is the file format used in AWS CloudFormation templates? CSV, HTML, JSON or YAML, XML. AWS CloudFormation templates can be written in either JSON or YAML format to define the desired resources and their configuration. How does AWS CloudFormation handle rollback operations in case of failure? It requires users to manually revert changes. It deletes all resources. It pauses for manual intervention. It automatically rolls back to the previous stable state. In case of a failure during resource creation or update, AWS CloudFormation automatically rolls back to the previous stable state to avoid leaving the stack in an inconsistent state. What is the benefit of using AWS CloudFormation in a DevOps environment? Ensures consistency and repeatability in resource provisioning. Automates machine learning model training. Improves network security. Optimizes database query performance. AWS CloudFormation helps in achieving consistency and repeatability in resource provisioning, making it an ideal tool for DevOps practices where automation and consistency are key factors. What is a parameter in an AWS CloudFormation template? A configurable element that can be passed at stack creation. A load balancing mechanism. A fixed-size block storage option. An analytics tool for monitoring stack performance. Parameters in an AWS CloudFormation template allow users to input customizable values when creating or updating a stack, making the template more versatile and reusable. Why is it recommended to use parameters in AWS CloudFormation templates? To automate the deletion of resources. To limit the number of resources that can be provisioned. To customize resource configurations without modifying the template. To simplify the template structure. Using parameters in AWS CloudFormation templates allows for customizing resource configurations without having to modify the template itself, increasing flexibility and reusability. What does it mean when a resource is in the create_complete state in AWS CloudFormation? The resource has been successfully created. The resource is paused for manual intervention. The resource creation process has failed. The resource is undergoing a rollback process. In AWS CloudFormation, a resource being in the create_complete state signifies that the resource has been successfully created and is ready for use within the stack. How can you track changes made to a CloudFormation stack over time? By comparing old and new CloudFormation templates. By enabling real-time notifications on resource changes. By exporting the stack configuration to a text file. By using AWS CloudTrail to log API calls. Tracking changes made to a CloudFormation stack over time can be achieved by using AWS CloudTrail to log API calls and monitor resource-related activities. What is the concept of stacks in AWS CloudFormation? A mechanism for version control in templates. A unit of storage in CloudFormation. A collection of AWS resources created and managed together. A security layer in CloudFormation templates. In AWS CloudFormation, a stack refers to a collection of related AWS resources that are created, updated, and deleted together as a single unit. How does AWS CloudFormation handle dependencies between resources? By ignoring dependencies. By using the depends on attribute. By creating resources in random order. By automatically resolving dependencies. AWS CloudFormation handles dependencies between resources by using the depends on attribute, allowing users to define the order in which resources are created. What is the AWS CloudFormation registry used for? To manage virtual server instances. To store log files for auditing purposes. To provide a central location for resource types. To automate network configuration. The AWS CloudFormation registry serves as a central location for resource types, allowing users to define and provision custom resource types for use in CloudFormation templates. What is a stack in AWS CloudFormation? A collection of AWS resources created and managed as a single unit. An individual AWS resource. A monitoring tool for AWS resources. A separate AWS account for resource management. In AWS CloudFormation, a stack represents a collection of AWS resources that are created and managed as a single unit. What is a stack in AWS CloudFormation? A network security group. A collection of related AWS resources. A container for serverless functions. A type of storage service. In AWS CloudFormation, a stack is a collection of related AWS resources that are created and managed as a single unit, allowing for easy management and cleanup. What is a template in AWS CloudFormation? A virtual machine instance. A container image. A JSON or YAML formatted text file. A physical server. A template in AWS CloudFormation is a JSON or YAML formatted text file that defines the AWS resources and their configurations for the infrastructure deployment. What is the purpose of the CFN signal helper script in AWS CloudFormation? To signal resource creation and wait for completion. To list stacks in an account. To delete resources. To pause template execution. The CFN signal helper script in AWS CloudFormation is used to signal the creation status of a resource and wait for its completion before proceeding with the template execution. How does AWS CloudFormation handle dependencies between resources in a template? Requires manual intervention for each dependency. Randomly assigns dependencies. Ignores dependencies. Automatically manages dependencies based on resource definitions. AWS CloudFormation automatically manages dependencies between resources defined in a template, ensuring that resources are deployed in the correct order to avoid conflicts. What is the benefit of using AWS CloudFormation change sets? Encrypt data at rest. Automatically scale resources based on traffic. Monitor network traffic. View potential changes before implementation. AWS CloudFormation change sets allow users to preview the potential changes before committing to implementing them, providing a safety net for infrastructure updates. What is the primary design principle behind AWS CloudFormation templates? Blockchain technology. Serverless architecture. Artificial intelligence algorithms. Infrastructure as code. The primary design principle behind AWS CloudFormation templates is infrastructure as code, allowing users to define and manage their AWS resources programmatically. What is the maximum number of resources allowed in an AWS CloudFormation stack by default? 200. 1000. 500. Unlimited. By default, an AWS CloudFormation stack can contain up to 200 resources, although this limit can be increased by contacting AWS support. And that's a wrap. Thanks to everyone who participated. Remember, you can answer along on quizalto.com, where you can keep track of your progress and find much more quizzes. We hope you had a fun and challenging time. Until next time. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel for more. Hit the bell icon to be notified as soon as we upload. Please leave a comment if you have any thoughts or suggestions, and if you think this video is worth sharing with someone who could benefit from it, please forward a link to them. See you next time. Thanks for watching.